someone.
Aspire to be hired by Mrs. Riddle.
Madam Chairman, can I just add one thing as we begin? The technologies have been changed to the boardroom, so board members, if you wish to speak this evening, you hit the button once and it turns the microphone on. You hit it again and it turns it off. So think of it as an on-off switch. The green light means nothing, but it's getting power. So just a few new technologies as we're advancing this boardroom for our online presentation as well. So thank you.
All right, hi. Hello. I'm going to button.
No, go right again.
Okay. Hi. I'm loud anyway. So my name is Daphne Riddle, and I am the Student Services Manager for Career Services and our Quality Enhancement Plan, Aspire to be hired. And so my goal today is to give you an update of where we're at on the QAEP and what we've accomplished and where we're going. So just as a reminder, our Quality Enhancement Plan, Aspire to be hired, was approved by SAC-COC back in September. And we did our pilot last summer, where we did about 18 classes, and then we moved into our fall launch in the career and technical education programs under Dean Huffman. That includes all of our industrial tech, computer information sciences, the hospitality cosmetology, and our business, accounting, and criminal justice. So we are currently in all of those programs. Just as a bit of a reminder, our program outcomes and our student learning outcomes revolve around professional employability training for our students to build their awareness of employability skills, to teach them how to articulate, describe, and discuss those employability skills to professionals in the industry when they go to get those jobs, and provide opportunities for application to practice those skills. And so we have to date been in 231 of our classes and served over 3,100 students receiving those lessons in the career and technical education programs. I'll start with talking a little bit about where it is in the classrooms. So the program is infused into the class in three times within the course of a program. So if we look at HVAC, some of those students will get their associate's degree, some will get a certificate. We want to make sure that they receive this training no matter where they're going to hit in that program. So all of the chairs went through the curriculum mapping, where students going to hit this the first semester, where are they going to get it if they're leaving with a certificate, and then also at the end. So they're getting that 3 times over the course of their program. If they get an associate's, twice if they're getting a certificate, and some of those occupational skills awards, if they're just here 1 semester, they'll have a QAEP training in that time that they're here. And so they're getting trained on those professional employability skills. The programs get to decide what those skills are in their program. So if it's ethical decision making, problem solving, teamwork, collaboration, professional communication, they're deciding what the students need for their industries that will help those students be prepared to get the jobs that they're training to get with those behavioral skills. And so, like I said, if you count up all of the programs and the different certificates, there's about 46 different pathways that we are in. Again, 231 courses. And we are surveying those students at the beginning of those classes and then at the end to gauge what they're gathering, what kind of knowledge they're walking away from. And we also have opportunities for some narrative and some student feedback so that we can continue to improve this program each semester. Students in those classes, we use a consistent rubric, and those students who maybe didn't perform average or above average, they get additional career coaching in that professional skill. So if they're in the classroom and they struggle with their professional communication, that is definitely a student that we want to connect with and provide them that additional coaching so that when they are at the phase where they're job seeking, we have met with them yet again to help provide that training. And so we currently have just under 1,500 students in coaching courses on our LMS program at Canvas. And we have found that to be very beneficial because students are already on there, they're already using it. And so we have career coaching with each of our coaches. Those coaches are assigned to a program. And so those students are in those Canvas courses. We're providing resources, opportunities for individual coaching. We've already seen a big increase in presentations and opportunities for application in the programs, even programs that aren't doing the QAEP yet. We're providing mock interviews in many of the programs, doing those student mock interviews in the classroom, providing immediate feedback so that they know what to improve upon. We're making sure we're hitting those students, yes, when they're ready to graduate, but again, we're wanting to catch them at that first semester and train throughout their time here at NCTC. We are also using our virtual platforms. COVID taught us to meet, to have some options for those virtual opportunities for resources. So we are utilizing Candid Career, which has, when we first got Candid Career, there was just over 2,000, under 3,000 videos for professional development and career exploration. Now they have over 5,000. So they're continuing to grow and provide those things for students to either do career exploration, but also the QAEP piece where they are getting those professional, virtual professional training through that. We are seeing good success with our Handshake partnership. That is our job board, online job board. And we chose Handshake because that is the platform that UNT, TFU, NSU, those use so that our students are familiar, but more importantly, so that employers who are outreaching to those universities, it's an easy click for them to add NCTC. So we currently have over 1,500 local employers that are utilizing our Handshake to connect with our students for job opportunities, and over 5,000 employers overall. And so what that is if you go to Indeed, there's thousands and thousands of employers, but these employers have said, hey, we want to connect with NCTC students. And so whether those are the over 1,500 local or the over 5,000 that are outside of our service area, then they have identified that they want to employ, they're interested in NCTC students. And that's good for our students to know that those employers are seeking them. We also are using a resume building platform called PurePost. and that's going really well. We have 770 students who have digital portfolios on that, and I know that has been important to Dr. Wallace for our students who are leaving NCTC to have a professional portfolio digitally available. And so currently we have 770 students who have built those and have those available. And that too is a platform we're really happy with. It's growing, and they're very responsive to what we say would be helpful, so we like that. And we do in our, I told you the coaching. So I think I just wanted to share with y'all really what our numbers are. Again, we're doing a lot more presentations. We've done 16 career events this semester, and we have 8 more planned for the remainder of the semester. So that's a lot. Getting into those, immediately into those programs, some of those are community. We continue to work closely with our workforce solutions boards and those departments, our school districts, different things like that, so that we are partnering with those to provide opportunities. And that's all I have.
She forgot to make the statement that during the process of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools visiting us, that the team that put together the Quality Enhancement Plan had no recommendations. And for those of us who have been on site teams, that's unheard of. We always have a recommendation. So for those of you involved, and many of the people in this room were involved in writing that Quality Enhancement Plan along with Daphne, but that was huge for the college, and so kudos to you and your team for that.
It did also say they could see this as a national model. I do, Dr. King, I needed to not mention that. So we're very proud of it. It is a good program. Getting this into the classroom, having students not just hear it from career coaches, they're getting it from faculty members. We have a career event coming up that the faculty is presenting, and so that's good for students to get it from their faculty outside of the classroom too, in addition to us. And then even additionally, the English department, they're doing a resume workshop presentation. So, we're really seeing a lot of things growing out of this. Good partnerships. ELearning has been super beneficial for us. We're even working with ACE, programs that weren't even initially involved in this. And so, like I mentioned, we are currently in career and technical education under Dean Huffman. Next is health science. They're in their prep stage now. They'll pilot this summer and launch in the fall. Pilot just means we're doing a small number, kind of get used to it, work out any kinks, and then a launch in the fall. And then we'll add the agriculture programs, child development after that. And we're even going into all of the allied health programs, which are really short programs, like phlebotomy and medical billing, those sorts of things. And so, we think that'll be really good and beneficial to get into some of those short and get them professionally prepared, in addition to all the technical skills that they're getting in those training programs.
I know I attended one of the Perkins grants, the community stakeholder meeting, and I know that this at our table, which were business people, this is extremely important, and it's. I'm really glad to see the results. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. The next presentation would be the e-learning update. Dean Plushie.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to come to talk to you this evening. Sorry about my voice. I tried best I can. I'm just going to introduce the 3 that make a magnificent team. I referred to it today with Axel as the A-team. He's like, who? So then I realized we have Cindy Whitrock, Josh Spradling, and Axel Leos. And they make up a team that does phenomenal work. They support our students, our staff, and our faculty, and they have gone beyond what they've been asked to do. Well, I'm just going to let them share with you. You should have a handout, an infographic in your book that they're going to relate to.
Hey, I'm Cindy Whitrock. I'm your e-learning program coordinator. I'm going to talk a little bit about our courses. You have the infographics. I'm going to talk about the top part of it. So let's go to the little graph on the right. I found it rather interesting when I was able to get numbers from Kate Richardson of our course division for this semester only, and we're about equal on the face-to-face to online classes. And I think that's pretty awesome coming out of the pandemic and quarantine and everything. So, that's about 500 each. 62 are hybrid. They have a little mix of both online and face-to-face. And she says there's 3 is the interactive, cross-campus visits. Not visits, but, they have teams on each campus. But I know it's more than that because I set up 7 classes. It's a little bit of work for me to set that all up. Not too bad. So I think we're doing pretty good. And we're looking to grow that some more because I know we wanted to engage more of our distant students, especially like Graham and Bowie campuses, because they can't always have a high number count to get a complete course. So they have to be able to link with other campuses to get their courses made out there. So our institutional effectiveness goals on the left side, we're doing trainings for our new quizzes. So Canvas changed their assessment engine that they have in the LMS. And so switching over to the new quizzes has been a little bit of a task, but I have found a lot of our teachers really jumped on board. They love the new format, the new options they have. So that's been going really well. We've scheduled 4 trainings, which we've done 3 of so far. We have another one coming up next month. And then we're also doing campus visits. So as Axel and Joshua will explain their part, they go to the campus visits every week. They go to a different campus. So they're always getting that face-to-face with people. Some people are still like that face-to-face interaction, and some we can do online. So we're doing it. So we're doing about 16 visits, and we've actually done 20 plus this semester. So between the 2 of them running all over the place, they've been doing really good. And then the last item, we're going to work with the faculty and division chairs to redefine home pages for the coursework. So a lot of our courses, when the students first open up the course in their software, it's always been a lot of text, maybe a couple of pictures and something, and just, not always the most entertaining or drawing you in, or just, it's, some people look at it like, oh, text, I don't want to read all that text. So we really jumped in. We planned a goal of getting like 5 courses going, but we found that everybody's jumping on board with it. We've done 14 plus pages and courses. I know there's been a lot more out there that they've all jumped on board and been really excited about doing that. So we're excited to keep that momentum going and keep that up. So next, I'll pass it to Josh.
Hi everyone, I'm Joshua Stradlin. I'm an instructional designer for ELearning Support. And I just want to draw your attention to the infographic in the lower left corner under ELearning Support. I'm going to go ahead and give you some data points here. So specifically with this first one, our Canvas help desk, this is run through our Zen desk where anybody, faculty, staff, students can submit a ticket to us, and then we can go ahead and respond accordingly. And since the beginning of this year, January 1st, we've actually responded and resolved over 235 tickets. So that's been good to be able to assist in that. Next, jumping down to the campus visits, as Cindy had mentioned, this is an area where we get to really connect with the faculty, staff, and even students to assist with anything campus related. This serves a purpose for them to also connect with us if they need help with course design, media, Canvas assistance, and even technical support. And the campus visits have been scheduled, were scheduled this past fall and scheduled for this spring as well. And we're still carrying those out weekly. And then the next section on this bottom left is our Canvas Connections. Now this originally was brought about through a survey that was sent to faculty email. And essentially this survey asked about knowledge of Canvas. So it surveyed kind of a baseline of where faculty are at with Canvas, areas that maybe needed some more assistance or needed some more help with. And this allowed us to determine the right trainings to go forth with. And so From that survey, we actually learned that the topics that needed some areas of help with were WebEx, new quizzes, creating graphics and tables, designing the course home pages, creating rubrics, and learning outcomes. And so far, we've gone through quite a few of those, but at this point in time, we actually have 3 more trainings that are forthcoming. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Axel.
Good evening. My name is Axel, and I'm an instructional designer to the ELearning department. On the infographic that you all have, the next data bit I'd like to bring your attention to is the Canvas refresh course. One of the most exciting things that we've done here with the ELearning department is find a way to revamp, almost modernize and gamify our trainings as a faculty. Especially with the pandemic, a lot of things have changed, and it has kind of propelled our use of technology. So to remind and support NCTC faculty about the features available in our Canvas learning management system, we created the Canvas refresh course. And the purpose of that Canvas refresh course, as Josh has mentioned, we found a lot of faculty, certain tasks on Canvas needed to be addressed. So what we did was take these tasks for these things that might be difficult for maybe some not so tech-savvy faculty and make them easier to consume in bite-sized modules. And the purpose and goal of the course is to refresh and deepen faculty skills, knowledge, and competencies with our instructional technology and Canvas, and ultimately just make learning experiences better for students and faculty. Division chairs can also utilize this course as well as an evaluative tool for veteran online instructors and for faculty that are new to teaching online, and really utilize the course as a refresher on certain criteria. The course is made up of 5 units, and those 5 units include Canvas Essentials, Start of the Semester, Best Practices, Course Design, and End of the Semester, along with the course checklist that corresponds to that course. Digital badges were created for each training module within each unit. We currently have 45 digital badges that we created through software called Badger. Over 90 plus faculty and staff have been enrolled with over 500 digital badges that have been awarded. It's been really awesome to see faculty enroll in this on their own accord, or if their division chair pushed them to it, but it's been great. The digital badges allow us to gamify those training materials and incentivize and accelerate this learning. Some examples include embedding quizzes in Canvas Studio videos, creating databases on home pages, creating rubrics, being able to use a rubric on screen creators, and many other tasks. What we have for upcoming for the e-learning department is a Canvas group called What's New at NCTC that will support interdepartmental communication and collaboration. One of the things that came up in our capacity cafe is just that we need to communicate more. So this group will serve as an additional repository for departmental updates, announcements, and various departments. We currently have 14, but we plan to just, as a community, get everybody on board. Other things that we plan to do with e-learning is continue support on the new Canvas assessment migration, continue our campus visits, which have been great, as it really increased our e-learning presence, and all of the faculty, even admins, have gotten a chance to know us now in person. And then continue work with division chairs on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. The next item on our agenda is the Red River Promise presentation by Ms. Candy.
My name is Barbara Stanley, and I'm the director of the Red River Promise. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about what we're doing so far this year. The Red River Promise, we really just began implementing it since October. We were awarded the grant from the Greater Texas Foundation for 3 years, which is really just funding staff as well as the implementation of technology to get the program funded. What the main mission of the program is to build a stronger college-going culture that strengthens the workforce. It's really about the community and increasing accessibility to post-secondary pathways for students, whether that's financial or through resources. We want to make sure that they're completing those FAFSA applications and getting those financial resources from the federal government first before we do our state funding and our local government. When it's resources as far as having support at home or support in the school, we want to make sure that we're offering that. With this program, we're trying to be very purposeful in targeting these students. NCTC has been super great about meeting the needs of dual credit and meeting the needs of the traditional students, but in that natural separation, these seniors have kind of been lost, but until now. So we're meeting the students at the schools and connecting with them and helping not only the students with these requirements, but the schools themselves. In our smaller rural communities, the counselor wears one of many, many hats. The principal wears one of many, many hats, and the superintendents wear one of many, many hats. So again, NCTC is serving the needs of the community by going in, assisting these schools with guidance and support in completing these steps, as well as the parents. I personally have a senior this year. Kudos to financial aid. That FAFSA application is difficult. I have not tried one yet. So as a parent of a senior, having to go through all the steps of first your child's graduating, but then being bombarded with all of the choices that they have and steps that they have to have is a lot. So we're there again as a support to not only the students, but the parents and the ISDs. In your book, we have a little booklet here. And some of the images you'll see are from our pledge rallies. The first 3 pages is really an infograph that's printed. It was our digital infograph for our NCTC personnel and staff. It's a way of kind of breaking down what the program is and the different components, and making sure that that way, when they're spreading the message of the program, they're doing it in a purposeful and correct manner. So it just kind of talks about the 14 schools. It lists the schools that we have that are participating, the benefits, which students that attend NCTC will get 30 credit hours each year for up to 2 years, or the completion of degree through grants and scholarships. We have them partnering with the success coach while they're in high school. So we are already currently going to the schools and connecting and having one-on-one meetings with these students. And that will foster through and carry on through their college enrollment. We have additional technology to both the ISDs and the students. And we want to make sure that the students know that there's diverse pathways. Education is for everyone, and that's going to look differently for everyone. So we just want to make sure that all students know that they have options. We just want to make sure that they have the best fit. If you scroll over, it then talks about what the last dollar scholarship is. That's a new concept for a lot of employees and staff and students, so we just want to make sure that they're aware when they're sharing the message. And then it also breaks down what the university partner offerings are, because with the Red River Promise, again, it's about the community. So NCTC is is the community college that's partnering, but we also have 7 university partners currently in year 1, which is exciting. They will have their own stipulations as far as what their enrollment and admission steps are, but they do have options for direct entry or transfer. And then we talk about the verbiage and just making sure that when we're sharing the message, we're sharing the right message in the right way, because it is important. And then if you flip it over, this is just a quick little synopsis of what we've done. We have been a little busy. It's been exciting. So the Promise team includes Brittany Jarvis, our enrollment guide, Tanda Nash, our success coach, and myself as the director. The first step and requirement to becoming a Red River Promise student is to submit the Promise Pledge. So it was an online form that they completed. It took about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how concentrated they were. And that wasn't committing them to any certain college or pathway, but it is now a way that we get their contact information. So we're able to engage with these students and their parents before they've even submitted an application to NCTC. So again, we're able to meet them and kind of meet their needs. If they have questions, they're able to text us directly. We can directly text them with updates and opportunities. The goal was to hit 75% for all districts. We closed our pledge at March 1st with an 84% completion rate in the first year. So very excited about that. Now we're working towards our FAFSA completion, college application completion, making sure they're doing their community service hours, which is a component, and then also if they're attending NCTC, completing an NCTC scholarship. So the data that you can see here was actually pulled from the Salesforce program that we have with the Promise. The counselors, principals, and superintendents have access to this data. I can tell you that it's only improved since this was printed, so that's good. We had 717 seniors that pledged, that were eligible. Of those, we have approximately 49% that have completed an NCTC application currently, and 29% have completed their FAFSA and NCTC application already. That's not to say others haven't, but we're still working on the university data to get those. Again, we're working in progress and implementing. So
Those numbers are only better than they're showing right now. Based on the Department of Education's February 25th report, we are, if you compare right now March to March, 2021 to 2022, we are 27% increase in FAFSA completion rate. We're not where we want yet overall total, but we are at a stronghold with a few weeks left to meet those deadlines. We implemented the Signifying text messaging. So if you can see there, it shows you that we've had 868 messages received, 517 from parents, and 351 from students. And then with that report, it's not shown because it was quite big, but you can even break it down by each ISD. So you're able to see what the engagement is. Are the parents really engaging? And it was fun because there was some where the students were actually engaging more than the parents. So it helps you, again, to gauge where their buy-in is and where we're going to need to focus to really change the culture. Some of the big events we had our Red River Promise launch in January, which kind of set off the inauguration of the event. There we had all superintendents present that were participating from the ISDs, as well as representatives from all 7 universities. They just kind of celebrated and promoted the program. We also completed 14 what I call pledge rallies. These were done at each of the high schools. And what it was it was a way to celebrate the students, the seniors completing the pledge. So it was a pep rally at each school. I mean, they had all the same components, but we worked individually with each one, so they each had their own personality. Some you would walk in and the marching band would be playing, and we'd have cheerleaders and mascots. Sometimes they turned the lights off and had strobes. Others, I had more than one counselor crying when they did their speech. You know, it was some with the smaller schools, you had pre-K. So you can see there's a picture here with the little students. That was at the pledge rally at Prairie Valley, where we had pre-K through seniors. There. I've had a 4th grader wearing the sunglasses say that she was going to NCTC because they do all the really cool stuff. So these rallies have been great because, again, it's promoting the program, it's celebrating the seniors, and it's educating the underclassmen about what's to come. This year, during year 1, we focused on the seniors to get it going so they are able to reap the benefits of this, but in the fall, we will be pledging the freshmen through the seniors. So we will be able to have those conversations and engage and create those relationships while they're freshmen. And so by the time they're seniors, they will have had some career guidance and had some understanding of what they're wanting to do in a pathway. I won't go into the details because I think that's going to be spoken about later, but the work we're doing has been many workshops, counselors meetings, rallies, trainings, community engagement. We've been out in the community. We're going to build those relationships. We have to be there and present. So we are usually out in school 3 to 4 days a week. Right now we're hitting them up with doing application workshops and FAFSA. We can't make change if we're not there with them. So that's where we are. So what we're working on in the future is, again, just completing those eligibility requirements, the scholarship awarding and graduation ceremonies. We have Red River Promise cords that we're giving those seniors that have met all the requirements that they'll be able to wear at their high school graduation. Again, to share what the program is about, and also incentivize those seniors because I would want more bling on my graduation gown too. So we're also, again, doing the success coaching. We've already hit 2 schools and done some success coaching one-on-one with them, and we'll be doing that from mid-April through May, improving our data collection and implementing our appeals process.
Very good.
Madam Chairman, just a couple of announcements. We're seeing another addition that we're working on is raising funds to support the longevity of the program. But I have to say I'm very excited to announce we've already received one gift for $700,000 for the Montague County campuses for those ISDs there. And then last week we received a $100,000 gift regarding a couple of our ISDs in the Cook County area. And so we're seeing large benefactor gifts coming as a result. There's a lot of excitement in the community for this program. And I believe this morning we had already reported, Ms. Carroll, that we have about a 25% increase of applications thus far. I think Ms. Beal had provided that. And those are all exciting trends that we want to see, especially post-pandemic. So we're very excited about the work that's being done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item would be reports from the Regent. The first one is from the Finance Report. Ms. Morris.
Yes, the Finance Committee met last week. We talked about the issuance of the new revenue bonds for Flower Mound and then the closeout of the old revenue bonds, which we'll talk about later in the meeting. We discussed the change to tuition fees and room and board. And then we finished with reviewing our quarterly investment report and January and February financial statements.
Thank you very much. And the next one would be from the Executive Committee, and we also met. We reviewed the agenda for tonight's meeting. We talked about the Commission on Community Finance. It's happening at the state level. Dr. Wallace updated us on the TAC leadership and a report on the storm damage, and also we discussed the future bond revenue that Ms. Morris just alluded to and we'll be talking further about. All right, the next one would be the building technology. Mr. Grum.
We actually did not meet this month, but I talked with Jerry before the meeting, and I'm Regent Henderson, and I'd like to go ahead and do the update on the student success.
Okay.
We got to hear a lot of things today that we got to the report outs on the Student Success Committee, and I don't know if y'all are excited about what you heard, but it is, to me, it's very exciting, as we've talked before about how do we get students in through the college successfully. We have a team figuring it out between the Red River Promise and all of the hard work they're doing there. When you talk about touches, how do you get people engaged? It's by touching them, it's by getting involved with them. And our teams are doing a fantastic job. The e-learning from Dean Felucci's team, they're doing a fantastic job. We heard lots of numbers, all the different touches we have differently than we've had. A lot of it, the COVID has definitely helped us. Again, in the Red River Promise, 39 workshops were done, 36 community events. The Promise staff conducted 26 meetings and trainings. I mean, just a ton of community involvement. So when you're talking about touching both parents and the students through these to get them involved, and when we talk about recruiting, this team is doing a whole lot of work, and really not just the Red River Promise itself, but also just in recruiting for the college. And I'm super excited about all the touches we're doing to all these possible incoming students and all the information we're getting. So I can't tell you how hard of work these teams are doing. And then when you talk with Daphne and her team, Miss Riddle and her team on the in the student services, there's so many neat things. She kind of went through all the data that I had written down on notes, but I just want to read you a few things. Just a few quotes from students who are actually using some of this coaching. And again, the touches, 1,500 students have sought out coaching, and they've been to over 3,000 classrooms. Over 3,000 classroom students have been provided QAEP lessons assignments, and 1,500 of them achieving average or above average outcomes from those assignments. But some of these students, here's what students are saying about the hard work that the teams are doing here. You're seriously one of the best advisors ever. I truly appreciate you talking with me and giving me all the info I need to figure it all out and what steps to take. Talking with you has made me feel a little better and not so panicked. Thank you for that. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for a very inspiring email. When I had a chance to communicate with you on the phone, I knew you were excellent with students. The way you communicate, motivate, and encourage are ways to introduce a new transition. You have a gift with what you do with students and families. We are truly appreciative of your assistance. Even a parent said, "Thank you so much for your quick response, your guidance, and your compassion for my daughter as a human, first, and as a student, second. I appreciate all that you have done for her. Thank you." And finally, here's one that I love. "Thank you so much. You are a really rocking advisor. Amazing and super helpful, and I truly appreciate working with you." If you just think about the impact that we're having, as we've talked for several years about making an impact on students, there's no doubt that the heavy lift and all the contact we're doing is awesome. So thank all of you and your teams. We also reviewed some statistics on what we've been doing with the foundation. Molly provided an update that during the spring 2020, the NCTC Foundation awarded 835 scholarships at over almost $350,000 for NCTC students. and also almost $40,000 worth of help with textbooks and things like that. So again, just really, I mean, the teams are making the rubber really meet the pavement there with all the hard work. And then we also had an update from Dr. King regarding the online instruction and the use of technology to improve the student successes across the district. So real exciting meeting. It's neat to see all the hard work everybody's doing, and kind of from cradle to grave, I think that we're going to see with getting students in and getting them jobs. It's a really neat thing to see what everybody's doing.
Just to piggyback a little bit what John said, to y'all that's working so hard on the Red River Promise, it's working. Believe me, when I'm out and about, like at the park or at church, when children come up and ask me about the Red River Promise, I'm excited. And so it's working, and just keep up your hard work.
Thank you very much for that report. The next item is the Chancellor's Administrative Report. Dr. Wallace.
Thank you. There are a group of students sitting here that are probably dying for me to get to this point so that they can leave, because that's how we do it. There may be some staff that are with. No, I think it's always wonderful when we have students that go what I would consider above and beyond the normal student role. And tonight with us, and they're going to stand and we're going to embarrass them because that's the way we like it. Kaylin, Tana, Elisa, Owen, and Mead, would you please stand? These young people, post-tornado, were in the field, and they were in the equine center, and they were managing livestock and horses and all sorts of things, cleaning up immediately post-tornado. And I think that is another huge example of the quality of students we have. And Coach Ellen, if you'd stand too, because you are the ringleader of the group, and Dr. Bellows and her leadership. But thank you all from the college and from the administration for pitching in when you didn't really have to, but you did, and you worked hard, and we want to applaud you for that. Choose to leave. But if you want stirring further reports, just stay. I'm always reminded of Ron Malugin. Those of us that knew Professor Malugin, he would give extra credit in his government class if you stayed the whole meeting. And so we don't see much of that anymore, but he would do that. A few things to discuss this evening. The Small Business Development Center of the Year is an award that's regionally supported by the SBA Dallas-Fort Worth District Office to acknowledge and recognize those centers who serve as advocates for advising opportunities for entrepreneurial development. The NCTC Small Business Development Center has surpassed performance goals over the last few years, built small businesses, developed SBDC programming for success, and really serves as a champion for small business. The college SBDC exceeded all required SBA and North Texas SBDC performance goals and significantly has contributed to the network's accomplishments through advising hours, business startups, and capital infusion, and specifically job creation. The exemplary performance led to the SBDC surpassing program goals from 125% to 208%. Also, we accomplished business startup goals and exceeded those by 218% during a global pandemic. All business advisors surpassed the minimum counseling hour standards, thereby resulting in increased client satisfaction. The NCTC SBDC is a champion for small business and is engaged with NCTC, the North Texas SBDC lead office, and SBA to serve the community and advocate for small business. We were recognized as the SBDC of the Year and stand out for that, and I applaud that team of people for their demonstrated excellence. Would you please join me in showing congratulations? Lots of exciting things going on. I'm unable to join us perhaps tonight, but I do want to recognize the students from several of our small business development and small business management courses contribute and participate in what's called the Business Strategy Game. And And I like you to think of it this way: if you are if you're in that class, you're literally running a corporation virtually, and it's really exciting. Well, NCTC students have placed in the top 100 in the world for 3 weeks in a row. The awesome part of that is the placements are not just the same students in the same companies. These guys, our teams, are going up against MBAs in fellow universities. And so we applaud Doug Aiken and that team of people, Dean Huffman, your team, and those that chair that area for their work in the business courses. And you can applaud that too if you wish. The Starlight Gala was a huge success. Debbie Sharp is unable to be with us this evening, or she would be talking to this, but I just wanted to remind everyone of how great an event that was. If you were able to attend, you witnessed it. If you weren't, you missed a great party. And the weekend before spring break and with wintry weather, we were very pleased with the turnout. All that being said, the gala was a great event, and I appreciate everyone that made that evening possible. I also would like to just go ahead and inform the board this evening that we were able to raise $6,000 in additional funds for the book fund that night, and so that is an exciting achievement, given that everyone in the room has already contributed in major ways. So thank you to everyone for that. The Texas Association of Community Colleges President Jacob Frare has tendered his resignation effective at the end of May of 22. As you remember, board, we are members of the Texas Association of Community College. That's comprised of 48 of the 50 community college districts. This considerable loss to the organization in the sense that we are in the middle of the work of the Commission on Community College Finance, and so we're working diligently. As an officer of that board, I am involved intimately in the newest decisions that we're making, and as soon as those are able to be publicly made, we'll notify the board, each college board. At this juncture, we're in discussion of interim position and a national search, and so we will keep you informed to that. Madam Chairman, your role with the Community College Association of Texas Trustees is also intimately involved in that search. The Lieutenant Governor has announced a restructuring of committees in education for the state of Texas. This equals, in the next legislative session, the elimination of the Senate Higher Education Committee from its own standing committee to a subcommittee within the Public Ed or Education Committee. Now higher education policy will be a subset of the K-12 committee. The intent is for alignment of policies from K-12 through college and workforce development during the next legislative session, but we as colleges and universities in the state are looking to find out how we're going to function under a subcommittee of education rather than having our own. That does not shift the subcommittee and or committee structures of the House. This is only the Senate side, but those words came from the Lieutenant Governor's office the last couple of weeks, and we're looking for more clarification as we move forward. Sponsored by the first-year composition textbook project, Dr. Temple Grandin will be speaking on NCTC's campus here in Gainesville the evening of Thursday evening, actually, of next week. I believe that's April 7th at 7:00 p.m. in the Center for the Performing Arts, First State Bank. Immediately following Dr. Grandin speaking, there will be a book signing there at the lobby of the First State Bank Center for the Performing Arts. Temple Grandin is a professor, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with her work of animal science at Colorado State University. When she was 2.5 years old, she had no speech and all symptoms of severe autism. Early intensive speech therapy enabled her to speak by age 4. Her mother always encouraged her an interest in art and urged her to draw in different ways. Good teachers, good mentors were essential for her success. An HBO movie entitled Temple Grandin was made about her life, and she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame and the Academy of Arts and Sciences. Facilities she has designed handle over half the cattle in the United States. Some of her most important books are New York Times bestsellers, Animals in Transition, Thinking in Pictures, The Autistic Brain, and The Way I See It. Riding horses, caring for them, helped her get through difficult teenage years, and she was bullied and teased. This is open and free to all students, faculty, staff, and the community. We are limiting each order to 5 tickets because this is a nationally renowned speaker, but I encourage any of you able to be there to be there. It's really an honor, and I appreciate Dr. Gregory and Dr. Bellows getting this kind of notoriety of speaker to our campus, and we're looking forward to that. In order for us to further advance the technology of North Central Texas College, we have decided to move forward with a company called Paycor. That is a new technology designed for timekeeping, benefit tracking, and payroll. It is something that we've been working for several years to try to automate what is really kind of an antiquated paper process still at this point. And so it's a more reliable technology that enables our employees to use even their personal phone devices, etc., for time checking in and out, leave requests, etc. That will not come to the board in a formal way as it is a part of the BI board, but we did want to notify the board this evening of our move toward that new technology. Those are my updates and my report at this point, but I'm open to any questions about any of those that you may have. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for the report. All right, the next item is additional reports to the Regents, which would be the financial report. Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, we have 2 months worth of financial reports in your packet because we did not meet last month. So you'll find both January and February in your packet. And as always, I'm here to answer any questions you might have about anything that you find in there. I would just call your attention to a couple of things that I think might be of interest. If you recall, one of the agenda items last month, or 2 months ago, on January the 31st, was actually approval to set aside some funds out of the board reserve account to directly fund the construction of a maintenance facility on the Corinth campus. So on the February Statement of Funds report, it should be the first page of the February report. You'll notice there is about 1/3 of the way down, there's a line, board funds committed for projects. It's been 0 for over a year. Well, now that 550 has come out of reserves, it will be shown there moving forward until the funds are completed, until the building is completed. And you will notice there in February that actually it has gone down 18,000. We had first bills that came in. I think they were architect bills for that project. So that will happen every month, and you can watch the progress there. But it's already been removed from board reserves, and so now we will not have to touch reserves again. Another thing, and I'm probably going to mention this every month until it changes, but if you, on the cash flow report, February we ended with the best cash flow position in the 3 years since I've been here. And it's, honestly, if it's the result of any one thing, it's the result of the federal government, and it's the millions of dollars that has been put out during the pandemic. And the reason I'm bringing it to you is in no way we're not bragging about it, because it's not going to last. And in fact, the federal funds, we have just about used the last of those funds. So we're going to have to, moving forward, get accustomed to or be weaned from those funds and be back. And now we have fewer students than we had 2 years ago when the pandemic began. So it was music to my ears to hear the report about our applications being up for the fall. Because now that the federal funds are gone, we have to find other ways to replace those revenues. And you know the type of institution we have, where we don't have a lot of property tax revenue, we don't get a lot of state revenue, we are greatly dependent upon tuition, and we'll talk about that in another agenda item a little later on this evening. But I will probably continue to mention that to you each month. Yes, we're in great shape with cash flow, but it's a tenuous position, and as the federal funds are as they run out, that's going to change in the coming months. Are there any specific questions you might have? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item would be storm damage report from Mr. Ball.
As you've already been mentioned, that the tornado that came through, or straight line winds, whatever you want to call it, did a little bit of damage on the campus. We had several of our buildings on the main campus here that suffered some wind damage to the roofs. The flashings were lifted, and a few of our trees were blown down. We had some damage at just about 4 or 5, maybe 6 buildings here on the main campus. We did have some damage at our new maintenance facility or purchasing building that we're in the process of doing. We had 2 of our overhead doors blow out, and it created a wind tunnel inside, which lifted the roof. So we've got some things there we've got to repair. Although we had already got started on it, but now we got to kind of had a little setback. So, but the main damage was at our equine center. We had the hay barn just had the roof completely blown off of it. As a matter of fact, the hay barn is no longer a hay barn. It's a slab. And so also the equipment shed had some rough damage. Riding arena had some windscreens that were damaged, roof damage. Stall barn had some rough damage as well. A lot of debris was flying around everywhere, and we had about 200 feet of fence damage as well. Also, our loafing sheds that are in the pastures, I think we had 3 of those that were tossed around and damaged. I know I put my eyes on 2 of them. The last I heard, we couldn't find the other one. We may have found it by now, I'm not sure. But other than that, that's all the building damage. And we did have a few horses that received some injuries as well. Actually, we had 3 of them. And I'm just going to name them. One is Ray, one is Yukon, one is Simon. Ray had several lacerations, but none of them required any stitches or anything. They were fairly minor, so he's back in the pasture this week. Yukon had a large slice on his chest and 2 legs. One of the cut on the back leg went through his heel, and it required a cast. And he'll be in a cast for about 3 weeks. And he's not, he won't be used for the rest of the semester. So he's in the stall barn, eating good, and so we hope that that's going to turn out good. Simon has 2 cuts on his legs, the right back hop, which I'm not familiar with that term, but was severely cut and required some stitches, and he'll be on stall rest as well for the rest of the semester. So anyway, those 2 that are injured are going to the vet every 2 to 3 weeks, just so we don't none of the infection gets into the horses. That's my report.
One thing I would add is thank you to our residents' life and all of our staff for getting students protected. No human was hurt, and so we appreciate that. I know Dr. Bellows ran to the field and said, "Get yourselves in," and I know that we housed our athletes and our dorm students very quickly in the CPA for protection. So thank you to everyone that was involved in getting that to happen, because it was all the warning you get, it still comes pretty fast at the end. So thank you.
Thank you for that report. All right, the next item is our consent agenda items, A through F. Is there any one of those that needs to be removed from the consent agenda items and considered independently? Anybody have one? No? Okay. Therefore, I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So we have a motion by Mr. Hayne. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Grime. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your right hand, please. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, the next item is the discussion and possible action items for the first one, which is the matters and incident and related to the issuance and the sale of the Oh my gosh, this is long. Okay, so I gotta read everybody. All right. Consideration of all matters incident and related to the issuance of sale of North Central Texas College Community College District Tuition and Combined Fee Revenue Bonds Series 2022, including the adoption of a resolution authorizing the issuance of such bonds and resolving other matters incident and related thereto. Dr.
Thank you,
Miller.
Madam Chair. Just slightly more than the time it took to read that. We've been working for several months with our friends at Specialized Public Finance in order to put together this revenue bond issue. And to remind you, this is an opportunity that we have available to us regarding the Flower Mound facility that we've been leasing for the last 10 years. And part of that 20-year lease was an option at the end of 10 years to actually purchase the property. And based upon interest rates and all sorts of various considerations, we figured it was worth our while to move forward and move forward with the purchase of that facility. So Specialized Public Finance has been working with us on creating the revenue bonds in order to allow us to complete that purchase. And here tonight, I'm going to turn the podium over to Mr. Adams here in just a second, but I also wanted to recognize we have three persons here, not just Stephen Adams, but also Paul Jason with Specialized Public Finance. And then we also have Kristen Savant, who is with Norton Rose Fulbright Law Firm, who is a bond counsel that's been working on a lot of the paperwork. And I believe they might have composed that nice little introduction yet. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Adams.
Thank you, Van. Chairman and Chancellor again, Stephen Adams. We handed out copies of this because we didn't know how your new AUV was going to work, but it's working fine. But also, there's a lot of small numbers in here. Remember, we went over this at the last meeting, and we thought we might do an open market sale where we were going to talk to banks. And we did talk to the local bank, and I'll go through a little bit more about that. First State Bank, which is also your depository bank. And we negotiated with them a 2.2% interest rate on the refunded bonds. The coupon rates on the lease that Van was talking about range between 3.5% and 4%. So the savings that we're going to show you by selling combined fee revenue bonds to First State Bank are good, but they don't include other savings such as fees that are associated with the lease. And I think that's about $60,000 or $70,000 a year. And furthermore, there's some cash at the trust that we're going to be able to use in the bond to reduce the size of it. And your next agenda item, which I'm going to talk about now, you have one payment left on some existing revenue bonds. We're going to pay that early. I think the money's already in the INS fund in your budget. We're just going to pay it early to get rid of the bond covenants associated with that revenue bond, so we can create new covenants for the new revenue bond, which are more favorable to the college.
And Mr. Adams, I would say, yes, we're paying it early. We're paying it about 2.5 weeks early. The payment's due, I think, May the 10th, and we're going to pay it at the end of April.
But we do want it to be closed before we close the revenue bonds. So if you go to the next page, I'm sorry, 2 pages. There you go. The savings that we have, you can see it's $720,000, which is on the far right of the column that's on the left. You can see it's about $72,000 a year, and that does not include the additional $60,000 that associated with fees for leasing the campus. So the present value savings is 8.2% of the bonds that are outstanding that are the lease revenue bonds. So what that basically means is about 8% of those bonds just go away from the savings. Now, when we went to the 2.2%, we talked to the bank. Van said that they may be interested in purchasing the bonds, so we contacted them, and then they said yes, they are. So we had to agree on a rate. And so what we did, there's an appendix here if you want to look at it. Both Galveston County Community College and
TSTC?
Yeah, TSTC, which are two Texas community colleges with the same rating, have sold in January of this year, and that's important because they both have the COVID numbers that your college has in terms of student count and everything else. So when they sold, we calculated what they spread to an index. And we took the spread that each of those had, and we told the bank, well, here's the index, here's the spread, this is what we think it's worth based on today's index. And they talked to an advisor they have, and they came back and they said, we agree with that. And so that's how we came to a rate. It's a rate that we believe is the market rate of 2.2%. And being able to sell it to a bank helped us a lot. We didn't have to get a rating. We did not have to do an official statement. And so even though the interest rate is up a little bit more from what we showed you in January, the savings are more because our costs are a lot less without having to go to the market and get a rating. And we talked to them about, well, the numbers of the college are down a little bit. They said, yeah, we understand that, but we also understand the college, we think they're going to just come right back. Having that conversation with a rating agency is not that easy. So having to avoid that conversation is a real benefit. And so we're really happy that First State Bank agreed to buy this. And if you go to the next page, you can see kind of the market interest rates. You can see on the far right they have come up a little bit. That's why they're a little bit higher rate than what we showed you before. But fortunately, we were able to lock this rate in now because who knows what it will be in the coming weeks or months. The next page is the sources and uses of funds. I think we talked about some transfers from the debt service fund that's already in place, and from a reserve and replacement, a repair and replacement fund that's required by the covenants of the lease. We don't need that for a revenue bond, any revenue bond, so we're just going to take that money and reduce the size of the refunding to increase those savings. And you can see our cost of issuance are $55,000, and I think we were north of $100,000 if we had gone to the market. And so that's helpful. And with that last page, we do recommend that the district award the $6,670,000 tuition and combined fee revenue refunding bond series 2022 First State Bank. And I'd be glad to answer your questions with Paul if you have a credit question, or Kristen if you have a legal question.
The term is the same, right?
That is correct. Yes.
The exact same term that we had before, so we're really not
just
doing any
lower
extension.
payment, no
Just a
extension.
lower payment.
That's correct.
It's a good thing. All right. So I would need a motion to approve the sale of the revenue bonds.
I move that we adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance of tuition and combined fee revenue bond series 2022.
Okay. I have a motion. Do we have a second? I have a second by Mr. Henderson. The motion was by Mr. Haynes. Sorry, Sandy. Additional discussion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Abstention. We have one abstention. Okay. Motion carried. Thank you very much. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the consideration of all matters incident and related to the authorizing the defiance of certain currently outstanding obligations of the district, including the adoption of a resolution pertaining thereto.
And again, as we previously discussed, we're just 2.5 weeks paying off ahead of the regular payment of the existing debt.
All right, so this is to pay off the existing bonds?
Correct.
Okay. So I would need a motion to approve this action item.
I move that we adopt a resolution authorizing the defeasance of currently outstanding district obligations.
Okay, let's have a motion by Mr. Haynes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Ott. Okay, additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Abstention by Ms. Morris. Okay, thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, the next item is the consideration of contract renewals for the full-time instructors for the 2022-2023 school year. Mr. King.
Thank you, Chairman Metzler. In your package, you should find a list of full-time faculty that administration is recommending for renewal for the next academic year. I'm very pleased to say that there were no non-renewals this year. And at this time, I believe Dr. Wallace wanted to add some information.
We as an addendum, this does not take the board action, but the past we have always sent a letter of intent post-board meeting to faculty. And after consultation with legal counsel and some other things, the timing of that is very awkward. And I asked Dr. King to reference me for this because Dr. King is still trying to learn some of our methods at NCTC in this. But what we've always done is we've submitted a letter from my office that says we intend to renew your contract. The fact of the matter is, if a faculty member is non-renewed, they have to be notified by February anyway. And we see, and legal counsel has no objections and believes it's very appropriate to just issue the contracts post this board meeting. So rather than delay that, we will be issuing contracts with an effective due date for our employees to be able to sign and get back. Because what we've had happen in the past as a result of our timing is we had faculty in a classroom without a contract. Vice versa, we had the risk that they would decide not to come and could, and we had no way of holding them to a contract. So it's a benefit for both sides. The institution is benefited by this move, but also the faculty are to say, I do have my contract in place. So when you approve this evening, you understand that you are approving us in the future now to go ahead and issue actually a contract to full-time faculty.
All right. Thank you very much for that report. We'll need to take action on that. Is correct? Okay, so do we have a motion? A motion by Ms. Morris. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Grime. Additional discussion?
Dr. Wallace, with the decrease in enrollment, have we done any allocating of personnel from different instructional departments or?
So one of the things that and there's two answers to that, Ms. Morris. The first answer is it is a very challenging period of time to reduce faculty numbers as a result of pandemic. Could I say right now that we perhaps have departments that have more faculty in those areas and the enrollments in those said departments are lower? Yes, that happens. That is an ebb and flow. But when I look at state data and I look at the fact that as a state we are down in enrollment in community colleges from this point to the pandemic, we are down as a state almost 11%. And ironically, the state large community colleges are what I call the gargantuan, because we would be considered large. The very large colleges are down in enrollment from the pre-pandemic almost 13%. The large colleges are only down around 7%, and the north region of the state, our region, is the most down in enrollments at over 14%. It is a fear that when you begin to then pass that on to the instructional area, and Dr. King, please chime in if you need to or want to, if you eliminate recouping then when you need it is an equal challenge. So what we have seen done by instruction is if contact hours are down in a particular discipline, someone leaves the college in that discipline, we're not seeing it. Oftentimes you're not filling it in that position. And you might give an example of that if you have one.
Well, we also look at the need. Where's the shifting need? And as having 6 campuses, you can imagine the ebb and flow. We watched that happen over from the Corinth campus when we had that damage over to the Denton campus. We had a situation where we had a vacancy in English. We looked at the need. We felt like with that retirement, we could shift that to another department where we had a greater need. So we're trying to really look at where the work need is for our disciplines and not just making the automatic hire in that area, but making certain it fits with what our real instructional needs are. I might remind the board also that full-time, when we have classes at our ISDs, our dual credit instructors, part-time people can't do that. They're almost all part-time people are working. So our full-time people go mostly into those. So yes, it's a discipline-specific need, but it's also the type of need that you have. So we try to make that match, and we're always watching it. We're making certain that we're trying to offer the types of courses that we need. We have the faculty to match that course.
And then thirdly, our accreditation body at this point, when we were visited, found the ratio of student to full-time faculty healthy. And so you try not to put that in jeopardy. And I will admit that the irony of enrollment has a lot to do with the preparation of K-12 graduation rates. And so you'll have math be for quite a while where that math is everyone's, issue and everyone needs more math. And then all of a sudden you have enrollments that are on the reading, writing side, and then that shifts. And so what you try not to do is, oh, okay, we won't need math anymore, you don't need English anymore, you need less faculty. Then you end up that 1 year later, you're like, uh-oh, we can't meet that demand. And so you try to make sure that you look at more than 1, 2, 3 year, you look 5, 7 year trajectory. And so what you have, and I would argue that we are very lean when it comes to full-time faculty still, overall. We do a very conservative approach. We have added where we need to, but we hope that answers your question in multiple ways.
Okay, do we have additional discussion? Okay, I guess I have a first, a second, and discussion. So all those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. The next item is the consideration of setting the tuition and fees for the upcoming 2022-2023 academic year. Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. 3 years ago, this very month, the board raised tuition for the last time. And when the tuition was raised, it was raised with the promise that we would not raise it again for 2 years. Well, everybody knows 2 years later we were in the middle of the pandemic, so we actually kept the tuition where it was for a third consecutive year, which I'm not going to say it's never happened. I know in my career I don't ever remember tuition staying the same for 3 years. And we're very mindful of the economic times and the hardships that everyone is going through. But we also felt it's prudent in the operation of the college and the strong reliance that we have on tuition revenue for our budget. We felt like we had to consider something on the tuition side. So what you have in front of you, the administration is recommending across the board a $5 increase in the general use fee. We specifically selected general use fee. It's the same increase whether you're in district, out of district. It's the same increase whether you're traditional or dual credit. So basically all of our students will equally be facing a $5 an hour increase. If you were to take the different tuition rates, the existing rates that we have for traditional students, it ranges there anywhere from about a 1.7 to at most a 5% increase, depending upon what level that tuition has been for the last 3 years. So even a 5% increase over a 3-year period is very, very minimal. And we do ask the board to consider granting a $5 increase in the tuition and fee rate for the upcoming academic year.
All right. Okay, Mr. Henderson made the motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Hand. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is consideration of the residence hall room and meal rates for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, we have the same thing here with our room and board rates. We have had an increase with our food services. And this is one of those items, as CFO, the majority of our dorm residents are actually scholarship athletes. So the college is going to pay it anyway. So, sometimes I wonder, what we should do here, but I think it's just the prudent thing to do to keep pace with the changes that are going on in our economic environment. And so we are suggesting a $50 per semester increase in the room and board rates, and it's a $10 increase for the summer rates.
All right. So we'd like a motion to approve this change to the residence hall room and meal rates. Motion by Mr. Ott. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Morris. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is executive session, and we do not have a need for that this evening. So the last item is a discussion for adjournment. Mr. Haynes said, let's go home. Second. Thank you very much for your